Hey, this is Adam Torres, and I'm here to tell you that it has never been easier to start your very own podcast. At Mission Matters, our goal is to amplify stories that matter. That means we want to help you start your podcast because your story matters. We can do this in 3 different ways. 1, join our podcast school and take a free or paid course. 2, visit our resources page where we've already figured out what you need, such as where to host your podcast. Or 3, heck, we can even do everything for you through our podcast agency, including editing for cheaper than you can do in-house. Oh, and no contracts, services month to month. Get started by heading over to missionmatters.com and click on Start a Podcast. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Marketing Podcast, your source for all things marketing. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so I have Carolyn Lowe on the line, and she's co-founder and CEO over at ROI Swift. Carolyn, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Adam.
All right, Carolyn, so I'm excited about today's topic. So we're going to talk about optimizing your sales on Amazon. A lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, executives out there listening, different size companies from large to small, and Amazon, we all know it's a big topic. So we're going to get into that. But before we do, let's go a little bit further into what you're doing over at ROI Swift. Tell us a little bit more about your company, please.
Sure. So I founded the agency in 2015, really with the mission of helping what I call emerging brands. So, we have a saying that if Nike wanted to work with us, we would say no. We're really passionate about the, $2 to $50 million brands. Those folks that are the challenger brands, emerging brands. I spent 6 years at Dell and made a lot of money for Michael Dell, but at the end of the day, it feels really good to make money for folks that are, maybe getting their Series A round and, they don't have lots of money to burn. So started the agency really focused on 3 core competencies, Amazon, paid social ads, which is Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. We'll see how long that lasts for, and paid search and social and display. So we're a Google agency partner, we're a Facebook agency partner, we're one of just a few hundred Amazon agency partners, and that's our story. A little bit about us.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. And so you mentioned size of company. So you work well. I believe you said you play well in that 2 to 50 million range in terms of company size. If I'm off, correct me. But are there, at the end of this, I'm gonna give you the opportunity to leave a website or social or wherever you want people to follow up with that fall kind of in those parameters. But other than size of company, if what are is there specific niches or is there one type of company you like working with better than others? Like what's typically a good fit for ROI Swift?
Oh, good question. Thanks for asking, Adam. It is really the folks that are brands. We don't work with a lot of resellers. We really are working with emerging brands. One of our brands that, I started with right when I started the agency, we grew them. They got acquired by Reckitt Benckiser, who owns Lysol, Mucinex, Airwick, Durex, you name it. And then there's another brand, a boot brand we started with right when we started the agency, 2015, 2016, grew them from 0 to 12 million in 18 months just on Facebook ads. So really those direct-to-consumer brands, we really love Shopify stores. They integrate great with all of our. So we've worked in everything from natural food, supplements, pet. We really do well with apparel, fashion, accessories, jewelry, you name it. But really anybody who's got a direct-to-consumer site. We don't do a lot of B2B. We're largely B2C are the companies that we help grow. And we have a mission to help 1,000 companies by 2024, and we're up to 126. So I've got, just over 875 to go before retirement.
Man, that's awesome. I love this. What a great story, and I love someone with a goal. This is amazing. And I think it was a good transition, too. So, Carolyn, let's get into today's topic a little further. So optimizing sales on Amazon. Where do you want to start with this one? I know it's a big topic, and we can only cover so much in a 15-minute podcast episode or 20 minutes, whatever it is. But where do you want to start with this one?
I'm going to simplify it. I think people, we've seen this too. I mean, I know we're going to talk about Amazon, but we've seen this with our Facebook clients is that when they come to us, people have been doing 50 different types of campaigns, and believe it or not, simplifying it makes it that much more effective and profitable. Same thing with Amazon. At the end of the day, it comes down to, first of all, do you have a good product? So there's only so long that you can put lipstick on a pig. If you have a 3.5 star out of a 5-star product, go back and fix your product. So that's the first thing we do before we work with someone is we make sure they have 4- and 5-star products, because you're not going to be around for long if you're, 3.5-star product. Someone else is going to come along and do it better. So that's the first thing to do is, okay, to make money on Amazon, you got to have good products, right? It sounds simple, but you wouldn't believe how many people that we have said, this is a lousy product. It's $1 million brand it's $1 million SKU. Go fix your product, or else it's going to be a $700 SKU next year, right? People are going to start to say, hey, there's a big market and this product isn't that good. So that's the first thing. And then it just comes down to two things, right? Sessions and conversion. Just like in your website, it's about traffic and conversion, right? Those are the two numbers that matter. So we really focus on a couple of major things to drive that, right? So to drive traffic, one is how good is your organic listing? What does the main image look like? Is your title relevant? So there's all these things we do. Just like you would do Google to show up organically, same thing with Amazon. All these things you can do to show up organically. And then the second half of it is just like Google, Amazon has advertising. So Amazon has now surpassed Microsoft ads in terms of they're the 4th largest revenue from advertising. So that's where a lot of Amazon's profit is coming from. And so that's the other piece, right? So you can get the folks to convert higher. So you can get more sessions by advertising, and you can get better conversion by having a better listing. So those are the things that we focus on. We have some core metrics. If someone's not converting at 15% on Amazon, we'll go figure out, hey, do you have a bad listing, or are you sending bad traffic from bad advertising? And it really comes down to those two factors. I hate to oversimplify it, but that's really what it comes down to. Now, there's a ton that goes into that organic optimization and advertising optimization, but at the end of the day, if you want to grow your product sales, you either got to get more traffic or get more of those people that come to your page to convert.
So I know this is going to change from industry to industry, size of company, founder, all these things. I mean, it happens over and over again, and I know it's going to be different. But where do you find? And the reason I ask this question, by the way, is because some people listening to this are like, I get it, I've been told this, but it doesn't necessarily apply to us. So I like to add some context to this. What do you find are some of those common mistakes that you've seen like over and over and over again from people before they come to your agency, where you're like, I kind of figured this was going to be this, and we can help them? Because I know there's some people listening right now that fall into that category that are like, we've heard this.
Definitely. I'll give you an example. We work with a natural cleaning brand, and when we started working with them, they were doing $30,000 a month, and they were doing it unprofitably. So as you can imagine, right, shipping costs aren't going down, right? Think about what it used to cost you to send something via USPS. You could send overnight priority mail for a few dollars. Now it's $10, right, for a tiny little box. So shipping costs are not coming down. So one of the things Amazon is doing is trying to reduce their shipping costs, right? They're doing way more fulfillment centers here in Austin. They've got offices. They've got fulfillment centers just outside of Austin. And so they're really trying to get closer to the customer so they can reduce those shipping costs. So the products that are really hard to make money on are, these cleaning products, right? You think about your counter spray, your bathroom spray, that stuff. I mean, it's heavy and it's cheap. So those are bad products to sell on Amazon, right? So
and competitive.
we always have, exactly. So we always try and work with brands strategically on maximizing their profitability. When I was at Dell, I had a massive P&L that I ran for the consumer marketing division, and it's amazing to me that how many folks just get on Amazon but don't know those profitability numbers. So we always say if it's less than $15 you're going to end up paying 15% in fees to Amazon usually. Different categories are different. You pay 17 for clothing, but on average 15. And then you have to pay them your outbound shipping, or you could do it yourself, but then you don't get Prime and your costs aren't as good as Amazon. So at the end of the day, you're giving Amazon 60% if you're selling a $10 product. So that's not really profitable. So we love those. We had a client that sold postpartum things for women, so wraps for your stomach and things like that, and they were $40 and they weighed less than a pound. So that is a perfect product, right? So we love the over $25 price points and lightweight, a pound or less. Those are ones that are really good to make money on Amazon. And if you're in that sort of, lower prices, we'll say, okay, do 2 packs or do bigger sizes. And so really, that's one big mistake people make, is just not knowing their numbers, not understanding all the fees, and not understanding, okay, here's my product price, here's my COGS, here's what I'm paying Amazon, here's what I'm going to have to pay for advertising. And hopefully that's a net number when you subtract all the other numbers.
Wow, I feel like you just now saved some people that are listening to this some time, like a lot of time right there. Because I feel like normally, especially if you think Amazon's going to be a big part of your, how you sell or you want to sell on Amazon, normally, you think of the product first, you start creating it, you do this, you do that, you fall in love with it, like your cleaning company, for example, you just have this idea, and then you get to it's all ready to go, and then you look at the numbers and you're going to Amazon, you're like, uh-oh, it's heavy and it's cheap. Yeah, I should have thought of that one first. Oh, man, that's a great example.
Yeah, and then the other way, of course, is advertising. That's another way to not be very profitable. A lot of times people will set up campaigns, but they won't know to, it's just like Google. You've got to put negatives in there. Amazon will match to some crazy things sometimes. So you really, you really need to know the ins and outs of Amazon advertising to be successful.
That's awesome. So, Carolyn, I could talk to you about this all day long, but we're about out of time for this episode. So that being said, if somebody is listening to this and they want to learn more about ROI Swift and to work with you and your team, what's the best way for them to reach out and to connect?
Sure. So we are the cobbler with no shoes. We probably have one of the lousiest websites because we spend all our time on our clients. But you can go to www.roiswift.com and fill out a contact form there, or you could just send an email to hello@roiswift.com.
Fantastic. Well, Carolyn, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background, all the great stuff you're doing over at ROI Swift to help your clients. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review in the Apple iTunes store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Marketing, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments in the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Carolyn, thanks again for coming on the show.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Adam.